Hey, Midtown. Someone from MBT asked me to do Word of the Lord, and I know it's been a long season, and I know we've been really busy as a family. So I have Edward, and you have Eleanor, our newborn. She's 3 months now, and so I want to show our family. I know we haven't seen everyone from Midtown. I know this is going to be very encouraging as we do the Word of the Lord together today, and so, and Edward's wearing his Royals jersey. Still have his Kansas City pride in him. So we're gonna keep it that way. He was born in Kansas City, and so we just want to say that we miss everyone at Midtown very dearly. We love you. It's we just hate to not see familiar faces all the time, and I know some of you at Midtown are feeling the same way as well. And I know we're going through a weird season. It was very weird for us when we transitioned to Tampa. I was like, man, what we got ourselves into when COVID just started shutting everything down here, and we're like, oh my goodness. But we thank you for your prayers, and we're finally much more settled now, and also been very busy. I know working from home and having kids all the time is always a little bit different for everyone. And so I hope you guys understand. We love you. We miss you guys. And hopefully the word of the Lord today will be very encouraging to see our family as a whole and what we're going to go through as our time in Proverbs. And so I'm going to let my kids go and my family and get started. So hope you can see everyone, and we love you and miss you, and I'm sure Janika said the same as well. All right, so let's get started. And so the word of the Lord, we're going to be studying in Proverbs, and that's what I've been looking through in my mornings. It's just through the book Proverbs, like a proverb, a chapter a day. And so I ran into Proverbs 11:30, and you can turn there real quick. And so Proverbs 11:30 talks about the fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and that he that winneth souls is wise. And so I stopped and kind of meditate on this verse, and it's a very interesting verse itself, and when going through Proverbs is very practical in many aspects, and I'm just trying to figure out how is that how could a tree of life be practical? Because if you try to look for what a tree of life looks like physically, you probably will have a difficult time to compare it physically. And so, let's go see what people said about the tree of life, or what they think it was back in the day. And so, I know back when I was in elementary school studying, and I know Florida talks about Ponce de Leon. He's the one that visited Florida back in the 1500s from Europe, one of the first individuals in Europe, and he's looking for the fountain of youth, and so it's a very resemblance to a tree of life. Someone that can give someone eternity and also that power to live forever. And then also you just do a weird Google search, a tree of life, and I don't recommend doing that. And someone says it's marijuana, and I won't go into that. It's kind of foolish. And so what is the tree of life? And so if you do a real good study biblically, do a search on tree of life, you'll see that it's very few mentions. So it's very hard to know what the tree of life is as we continue we look through our study. And so it mentioned 4 times in Proverbs. So there's a lot of practical aspect of what a tree of life kind of righteous. It revolves around the righteous person that we just saw in Proverbs 11:30. And so we know that you could once you do a little bit more study about the tree of life, you could give it a definite answer that is a tree of Christ. And so, and one of the strong passages that shares that is, John 14:6, that it says that I am the way, the truth, and the life. And so that's what Christ says. And then also you notice that the tree of life is found in very different places in the Bible, and one of them is Genesis 2, when you see that there's a tree of life, and then also right next to it or very nearby is the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And you see that in Genesis 2. And then also you see it in Revelation 22. The tree of life reappears again in heaven in the new kingdom, and you see that it's planted next to the river on the street of heaven. And then also that one of the interesting characteristics, it says that it bears 12 different fruits. And so there's no tree on earth that I could think of that could bear 12 different fruits. It's something that's out of the ordinary. So that's why it has to be a definitive a tree that represents Christ in the Bible. And we know that trees in the Bible represents men or groups of people as well. Like the olive tree represents, the nation of Israel in some ways. And then also in Revelation 22:13, it says that Christ says, "I am Alpha and Omega," and so this tree was from the beginning and the end, and you see that in Revelation 22. And it's absolutely the best tree to be in, and we won't see it into heaven. And for us as believers, we can never be the tree of life because it's Christ Himself, and we have to recognize that on our, not on our own strength, but also to recognize that we could be the tree of Christ currently because of we have Christ inside of us. And so that's very key, is to recognize that Christ is the ultimate example of righteousness. And so recognizing Christ is the tree of life, and how that I could apply that in my life. And so the thought of the day, that I had when I was looking at this verse is, how is my life a tree of life to others that I could be fruitful? Because in that passage of Proverbs 11:30, it talks about that he that winneth souls is wise. And so how can my life in general is a representation of a tree of life, and we have that righteousness through Jesus Christ. And so we are righteous through Christ alone. And so one of the things that we must recognize that we could be a tree of life to others around us is that we must abide in Christ. There's no other way I can, say that. Is that, when we're more like Christ, and more life-giving you're going to be to others around you. And so my life is to abide in Him, and we see that in John 15, a very good passage to look into. 15:4 more specifically says that, "Abide in me, and I in you, as a branch cannot bear fruit of itself except it abide in the vine. No more can ye except you abide in me." And so, in general, if you want to bear fruit, you have to have Christ very active and alive in you. A lost person can't bear life because he's dead, and so that's our job as representatives of Christ is to share that life to others around us, and that they could have life through Jesus Christ alone. And so, and then the other thing you have to recognize is that trees bear fruit. And earlier I mentioned that the tree of life bear like 12 different fruits, and you see that in Revelation 22:3. And spiritually speaking, the fruit that we could bear is the fruit of the Spirit. And so we know the fruit of the Spirit in Galatians 5. It talks about its love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, and temperance. And, am I being all 9 to people around me? Is my life a representation of the fruits of the Spirit, regardless of our situation, regardless of what's going on in this world, regardless of the things that are happening. And I know our world is going crazy every day. But our job as Christians is that, is my life a representation of the fruits of the Spirit, and ultimately a tree of life, which is Christ himself. And so that's a very good way to look at it that way. And I hope that this is encouraging as well, because, we all want to be life givers to others around us. And what better thing to be to others is to be life. And that is through Jesus Christ, and because he is the ultimate giver of a life. And he made the ultimate sacrifice for all of us. Who better person or better tree to be than Christ himself? And we could do that as we abide in him, as we looked at John 15 itself. And, and we abide in him, we'll bear fruit. If we don't abide in him, I won't bear any fruit at all. We know that we're just as filthy rags. And so this moment, in our life, am I being cleansed in the Word? Am I in fellowship with other people or other believers in general? And that could help keep the tree of life inside of me to keep growing, keep bearing fruit for Christ's sake. That's the only thing that God has left us to do here, is to bear fruit for him, and that's well-pleasing to him. And so I know we're in difficult seasons for some of us, but ultimately we look down to, like, are we being like Christ no matter what's going on. And so, I know I don't want to go too overboard. I know we all have busy days and whatnot, and I hope this is encouraging to everyone that's listening. And we love you. We miss you guys. We hope to see you very soon. Hopefully, Mission Focus and whatnot. And so, I know there's a team that's coming to Living Faith Tampa in October. We're excited for that, to be ministering together, and they can see the field that we're in, and also to be a part of what God's doing here. Can't wait to see you guys, and many others that are coming and visiting. Florida is always sunny and warm. And so everyone's welcome to come and visit. And we love you guys. We miss you. Be encouraged. Stick with the body. There's many great individuals at Midtown. And I love you guys. I miss you very dearly. And hope to see each one of you very soon. All right. See you guys. Have a good day.